I almost sabotaged another opportunity without realizing it. Not because I said the wrong thing. Not because I hesitated. But because something in my behavior telegraphed the one signal people never say out loud, yet instantly react to. You've done it too. It's invisible when you're the one doing it, and painfully obvious when someone else is. Once I finally saw it, everything changed. And if you don't catch it, you'll keep repelling chances, people, and possibilities you thought you were ready for. In the next few minutes, you'll understand the exact mechanism behind this silent self-sabotage, and how to shut it off for good. Because the real damage isn't what people notice. It's what they conclude, instantly, subconsciously, permanently. And they're not wrong. They're responding to something you're leaking. Let me show you. There's a pattern wired into human perception that almost no one talks about. A pattern that decides, within seconds, if someone sees you as a potential ally, a potential burden, or a potential threat. We assume it's about confidence, charisma, presence, but it's none of those. It's something far more primitive, your baseline internal pressure. Every interaction has an invisible temperature. Some people run cold, some run warm, some run overheated without realizing it. When you enter a room with internal pressure higher than the environment, people feel it. They can't explain it, they can't articulate it, but they instinctively pull back. Opportunities evaporate around people who carry heat they haven't mastered. And that's exactly what I was doing, until I caught the signal. Here's the unsettling part. You don't see your own pressure from inside, but everyone else does, and they're constantly adjusting around it. It happened during a conversation I wasn't even part of. Two people were talking near me. One of them was trying too hard to contribute, jumping in, filling pauses, over-explaining, forcing smiles, reacting half a second too fast. Nothing overt. Just tension shaped as eagerness. The other person wasn't annoyed. They were just subtly withdrawing. Micro leans backward, shorter replies, eyes moving away slightly earlier than normal. A polite, tight smile, a vibe of I need to escape this gracefully. It was quiet, invisible to the untrained eye. But to me, it felt familiar, painfully familiar, because I'd been that person so many times, and I finally saw why opportunities didn't stick. I wasn't showing neediness. I was showing internal pressure, and humans avoid pressure like they avoid fire, cautiously, automatically, reflexively. Not because we dislike the person, but because our nervous system interprets their energy as work. People don't avoid the personality. They avoid the labor. And that's when it clicked. People don't gravitate toward the best option. They gravitate toward the lowest cost of interaction. Humans are wired to make rapid assessments of behavioral cost. We don't consciously think it. We just feel it. And internal pressure generates cost signals. Too much intensity, too much anticipation, too much self-monitoring, too much outcome sensitivity, too much narrative running in the background, too much internal noise bleeding outward. When these leak into your micro-expressions, tone, pacing, posture, or timing, people feel like they have to calibrate around you. That's the invisible tax. Here's the rule. You become expensive the moment your internal state demands external management. This is why trying harder backfires, why over-communicating looks insecure, why enthusiasm can feel overwhelming, why even competent people lose opportunities without knowing why. It's not the behavior, it's the pressure behind it. And pressure isn't created in the moment, it's accumulated long before. Which leads to the next realization. Every time I ruined an opportunity before, I wasn't actually failing the situation. I was failing the mental loop I had walked into the room with. The loop goes like this. I want this to go well. Because I want it to go well, my body enters a subtle performance state. That performance state creates internal pressure. That pressure leaks. People sense it and withdraw slightly. Their withdrawal confirms my internal fear. The pressure increases, and I start behaving out of alignment with who I actually am. This is why certain interactions feel like a downward spiral from the first 5 seconds, even when nothing bad happens. It's not social anxiety. It's not low confidence. It's not overthinking. It's the performance mindset hijacking the interaction. Because when you treat an interaction as something to get right, you place yourself outside of it. You become an observer of yourself instead of a participant. And that creates the exact energy that repels the outcome you wanted. You can't connect while running self-surveillance. People can smell it. They aren't judging you. They're reacting to the energetic shift. This explains why you're normal and relaxed around some people, strain around others, perfectly calm when you don't care, and shaky when it matters, because pressure modulates presence. And here's the part almost no one figures out. To lower your pressure, you can't relax harder. You can't breathe your way out of a performance state you created subconsciously. There's another mechanism at play. When people describe someone as magnetic, grounded, or naturally confident, they're talking about one thing: low outward pressure with high internal clarity. Not emotionless, not aloof, not detached, just internally stable. A person who isn't preoccupied with their next line, their impression, their timing, their role, their status, the outcome, the stakes. Whether they're doing well, whether they're being judged, their mind is present instead of predictive, and the body follows. This is why low-pressure individuals feel calm, decisive, trustworthy, composed, and competent. Even if they say very few words, they free others from energetic labor. They're costless to interact with. Low-pressure presence isn't a skill. It's a state. And here's the key insight. Presence is simply the absence of self-interference. Your potential wasn't blocked by lack of confidence. It was blocked by internal noise. Silence the noise. Pressure drops. Pressure drops. Perception shifts. Perception shifts. Opportunities actually land. But how do you silence something you don't notice? That brings us to the pivotal realization. Before I ruined another opportunity, I made myself watch my own energy instead of the environment. Not my body language, not my tone, not my words, my pressure. I asked myself one simple question. Am I trying to manage the moment? If the answer was yes, even subtly, I pulled back internally. The shift was immediate. My speech slowed naturally. My thoughts uncluttered. My shoulders dropped. My face softened. I stopped anticipating. I stopped performing. I stopped measuring. I stopped leaking urgency. I stopped needing anything from the interaction. The pressure diffused. And when the pressure diffused, something I didn't expect happened. People opened up. They leaned in. They talked more. They treated me differently. Interactions became easier, and opportunities flowed without friction. I wasn't acting differently. I was being differently. Because I wasn't projecting power. I wasn't signaling value. I wasn't trying to seem. I was simply not interfering with myself. And that absence of interference made space for presence. Behavior communicates, but pressure announces. Pressure makes people interpret you as uncertain, unstable, overinvested, self-focused, outcome-dependent, threatened, or secretly volatile. Even if you're none of these. Pressure is the distortion. Presence is the clarity. And here's the paradox. People follow the person who doesn't need anything from the moment. Not the loudest, not the most charismatic, not the smartest, not even the most prepared, but the one with the cleanest internal state. Because clean internal states stabilize others, reduce friction, lower social cost, ease cognitive load, create emotional safety, project natural authority, signal psychological self-sufficiency. People trust the person who isn't busy managing themselves. They sense stability, and stability is rare. Here's the reset I started using, the one that stopped me from ruining opportunities before they began. 3 steps. 1. Notice the spike, that micro surge of anticipation, that subtle tightening in the chest, that pre-performance breath. That's the pressure entering the system. 2. Drop the internal agenda. Not the goal, the agenda. Agenda is, I need this to go well. Goal is, I'll handle whatever happens. The moment you shift from agenda to goal, pressure drops. 3. Re-enter the moment from inside your body, not your mind. Stop projecting forward. Stop tracking how you're doing. Stop reading their reaction as a score. Feel the moment instead of managing it. When you re-enter the body, the performance loop dissolves. And when the loop dissolves, your presence returns. Not because you're trying to be calm, but because there's nothing left to disturb the calm that was already there. This is the state that attracts opportunities instead of repelling them. Before I ruined another opportunity, I observed one simple truth. People don't react to your behavior. They react to the pressure behind it. You don't need to be more charismatic. You don't need to be more confident. You don't need more lines, techniques, strategies, or tricks. You need to stop leaking the one signal that makes others cautious around you. Unresolved internal pressure. Master that, and your presence stops feeling effortful and starts feeling inevitable. You stop chasing outcomes, and outcomes start aligning with you. Because power isn't something you push outward. It's the quiet, stable force that emerges when you're no longer fighting yourself inside the moment.